Hi, I'm Christy Nelson here with your connection and a look at what's happening in North Texas. A federal court hearing is taking place on State Senate Bill 4 in Austin today. A look at possible outcomes, and we share a surprise emotional reunion of siblings in Terrell, all caught on video. But first, let's get a check of the weather with meteorologist Adrian Vaughn. Looking like it's getting a little cloudy out there. What's happening?
Yeah, we've got some sunshine, but more clouds working their way in, and that's out ahead of the system that we've got moving in for the day on Friday. So something we'll be watching. That'll be bringing in some cooler weather just in time for the weekend. But the warmth is here right now, and the winds are there, still coming in out of the south. They're much lighter than what we had yesterday. The winds between 5 and 10 miles per hour. Temperatures this afternoon do climb up to near 70. We are mostly cloudy tonight as we ease back into the mid-50s across the area. And then on Friday, we'll be watching this cold front move through. It doesn't have a whole lot of moisture to work with. We may squeeze out a few scattered showers out towards the south and to our east. But aside from that, we're looking largely dry. But behind this front, much cooler air resides. We're looking highs just in the 50s Saturday and Sunday, Christy. And Sunday morning, we could have a freeze here across many locations.
All right. Thanks so much. The controversial immigration enforcement bill here in Texas is in federal court in Austin today. Senate Bill 4 would allow law enforcement to arrest and remove migrants believed to have entered the state illegally. The U.S. government is trying to stop it from officially becoming a law in 3 weeks, calling it unconstitutional. NBC5's Alana Quillen describes what could happen next.
It's the United States versus the state of Texas. There are lawsuits that are trying to stop this bill in its tracks, and that's what this federal hearing will be about. Now, Senate Bill 4 was passed by Texas lawmakers late last year during their 4th special session. It would allow state and local law enforcement to arrest people they suspect entered Texas illegally. They can jail and prosecute migrants from any country, and state judges would also be authorized to order a migrant to return to Mexico regardless of their nationality and not having any ties there. SB 4 is supposed to take effect March 5th, but both advocacy groups and the Department of Justice filed lawsuits against it, and today's hearing will cover both legal challenges. The DOJ is calling SB 4 unconstitutional, that it attempts to override federal law, which has jurisdiction over immigration policy, and that it leaves the door wide open for racial profiling and separating families. Local immigration attorneys are also expressing concerns about how law enforcement can enforce this.
The way that this law is written creates a lot of issues, and one of them is that the police officer or the law enforcement officer has to have evidence that the person has crossed the border undocumented. Well, that could be troublesome for a police officer far from the border. How can you determine that? Do you stop somebody just because they look a certain way and you start asking them questions? Those are issues that this law is going to present.
This is just one of the numerous legal fights that Governor Greg Abbott has been locked into with the Biden administration over claims that Abbott is overstepping his bounds into federal immigration territory, like using razor wire and floating barriers on the border. As for the fight over SB 4, the Supreme Court has ruled in previous cases that states have a limited scope when it comes to immigration enforcement. Today, the federal court will have to weigh in on whether the state of Texas has the right to remove people from the United States. Now, the court could rule to grant a preliminary injunction on this bill while these lawsuits are still pending. This also could go into an appeals process and could eventually end up in the Supreme Court. Of course, only time will tell. Reporting in Dallas, Alana Quillen, NBC5.
The STAR test now has a new scoring method for essays. Computers will score the essay answers instead of people. Our partners at the Dallas Morning News report that amid debates about AI and technology in schools, the Texas Education Agency quietly rolled out the new automated scoring engine. Only 1 in 4 student responses will now end up in front of a real person's eyes, and that's according to the TEA. Some education leaders are confused by the change and question how using this technology to access essays will impact students and teachers. The launch happened last year, grading essays at every school level. A family in Terrell is enjoying time together after a surprise reunion this week. Officer Hunter Martinez was surprised at work by his sister, who'd been away from home serving in the military. Destiny Martinez just came home from her deployment. The family shared this video of their emotional reunion. Officer Martinez will leave for deployment himself in just a month. Thank you so much for catching up with me.